So I got to share this with you. I was in Starbucks this morning, just doing a little computer work, and I moved my space, the spot where I was sitting, over to another table, a little round table, and I wanted to wipe the table off because somebody had left something on it, or just for general cleanliness. And this is a Starbucks around the corner from my house that I go to all the time, all the time. And so I wiped it off with a dry paper towel. But I was like, hey, let me get something a little bit, something that's wet, so I can, maybe disinfect it or just clean it off. So I go to the counter and I said, hey, do you have some of those wipes that you guys normally have that we can use to wipe off the table? And the young lady behind the counter, the barista or whatever, says, no, we don't have those anymore. I said, oh, okay. Do you have a washcloth or something I can use to just wipe it off, wipe it down? And I must have thrown her like a curveball, fastball, slider, sinker, or something, because completely baffled her as to what to say next. She stuttered a little bit and then said, "No, we can't give you that. I can give you some water." I said, "Well, how about this?" And I pull out a handful of paper towels and I hand them. I said, "How about you wet this and I'll go wipe the table down for you?" And she did that, whatever. And so as I was doing that, I was reminded of a post that I saw that talked about air dryers in a bathroom. It was an Instagram post, or maybe it was Facebook, I don't know. But it was a post that talked about how dirty air dryers are in a bathroom and how they spread germs. And if you go in with an ultraviolet light, you see all these germs. And there was a guy in the video and under the UV light, and it's showing all these germs. And I thought, we have come full circle since COVID. The fact that I couldn't get a washcloth from this person, or a wipe, or whatever, or that they even offered to come from behind the counter to wipe the table off. The fact that I couldn't get that just reminded me that, the more things change, the more they stay the same, or stick around long enough and history will repeat itself. But I just couldn't help but think, we were in post-COVID, and I was not able to get something to wipe off a table in a coffee shop. Now, whether or not you like Starbucks or you like any other, doesn't really matter. And this is just an isolated moment in time. But for me, it really stood out. Because up until that point, when I would go in there, sometimes I would order a water and I would put a little water on the washcloth or my napkin, and I'd wipe the table off. Or I would ask the folks behind the counter and they'd give me like what was the equivalent of a wet wipe to wipe down the table. But the sheer fact that this person behind the counter's only recourse or only option of an answer was one of ambivalence to what I would consider basic cleanliness, was just mind-boggling, I guess. Hey, I'm sorry, we don't have the wipes anymore. Nothing to follow on to that. So I had to ask for a washcloth. No, we can't give you that either. But I can give you some water to go wipe it off. I guess that's the world we live in, or that's just a subtle example of the world that we live in at that moment in that place. Because again, what happened to me is just a snapshot in time of one point, place in time. Doesn't mean it's like that everywhere, but I'm sharing this because it was eye-opening to me to see that and to experience that. So I wadded up a bunch of paper towels and I handed over to the counter to this, and he said, "Would you please wet this so I can go wipe down the table?" And Starbucks, if you're listening, I don't know what to tell you, but there's a subtle example of what not to do, and teach people to show a little bit more concern for their genuine cleanliness at a restaurant or a coffee shop. But I just was I was beside myself. So I thought I'd share that with you. Life is good. Be grateful. Be humble. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.